Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for watching these videos with me. It means the world. Thanks for being my friend. That's the most important part because I'm trying to build a community of friends. I'm trying to get some friendship in my life for once. So recently we've been watching some TikToks from Shagon's Way. And I wanted us to watch her mom's UFO encounters, you know? And then I have another video I wanted to watch together. So here it goes. So, because I'm not gonna watch these videos without you guys. We're friends now.
So what was your UFO experience when you were younger?
When I was younger, I was about 5 years old. We lived in Hidden Village in Odenton, Maryland. And usually I slept with my mother, but for some reason this night I slept in my own room. And in the middle of the night, it felt like the house was shaking. I heard a loud noise outside and something fell off of my dresser that was right to the side of the bed, which woke me up out of my sleep. When I woke up, the blinds right next to the dresser were like illuminated. It was this light coming in through. I was scared as shit. I'm trying to tell you. All of a sudden, my mother came to the door and she flung the damn door open and she looked out the window and she couldn't see anything. It was just like a bright light was shining right into the room. And then it's not that big of a story, but she grabbed me, we ran out of the room. She ran past my brother's room, which was on the same side, right next to mine. There's no light shining through their window. It's just shining through my window. My mother thought the house was shaking and shit. So Odenton, Maryland is not too far from the Army base at Fort Meade. And she knew people that worked at Fort Meade. So she spent all the next day trying to find out like if a helicopter crashed in the woods or if they were doing tests or something over there. She was running around that apartment like a crazy person trying to figure out what was going on. Now, part of the reason for her fear is because she had UFO experiences before I was born.
So what was your...
I know that's right, Mommy. You better have that vape. I need mine too, Mama.
She had UFO experiences before I was born. And my brother, my oldest brother during this time, he kept having dreams about somebody coming into the house and kidnapping him.
Somebody?
Somebody, something.
Did he say what it looked like?
He said it was little green men. He said it. He said a little green men would come into, and he used to draw them a lot when we moved to Baltimore. When we finally got out of there and moved to Baltimore. But that's a whole nother story because this was the beginning of a lot of weird stuff. But her fear came from an incident that happened with her and my dad coming from New Jersey. So he used to sing, as you know, and they were doing a show in New Jersey. She was pregnant with me and they were driving down the New Jersey Turnpike to come back home towards Maryland. And somehow they lost time. It's like tolls in between New Jersey and Baltimore that you have to stop at. They went to the first toll. They got halfway through the toll. My mother said she had to go to the bathroom. There was some sort of turn off, which they later found out there were no turn off roads or anything. It was a turn off. They were able to go up there. It was this big building with a bunch of lights in the woods. People were inside, but nobody they couldn't find the door. So they came back down the road, and when they came back down, they were at the last toll.
Did they ever say what the building looked like, or
they just said
they
it was
saw
a large
regular
building.
people inside? Regular people?
He didn't say. My dad didn't say. You're gonna have to get the story directly from them. But this is like second-hand story. So when they come down the road and get to the last toll. Get to the toll, they're at the last toll. Like, the man had no choice but to let him go. He could not understand, he was flabbergasted, how did they get from you know, this first toll to the last toll with the first toll booth ticket. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So they had somehow lost time, but I don't know. I can't explain it. Like, it's one of the creepiest shits they ever talk about. But that was just the beginning of some weird stuff. We moved to Baltimore, and that's when a lot of really weird stuff started happening. She had I didn't know that it was weird stuff. I was 5 years old, so I didn't realize that it was weird. You know what I'm saying?
Did you have any UFO encounters in Baltimore once you got a little older?
I didn't.
Watching this young lady, but now we're going to move on to this.
Australia, March 16th, 1996.
Hi, how are you, Wendy? Scott, have a seat.
Thank you.
Now, as I was explaining, this next story, folks, is quite an unusual one. Some people might think it sounds like a bit of a B-grade movie, but my guests here believe it is true. They are university-educated professionals running a successful business. They come from Grafton, and they just happen to have spent time inside an alien spaceship when they were kidnapped by extraterrestrials. As I introduce to you, Scott and Wendy Longley. Welcome. It is a most extraordinary story. It's heartfelt for you. Let's start, Scott. It was March this year. You were driving on a road in New South Wales near Casino with your family. What happened with your UFO experience?
All right, it was on the 16th of March of last month. We were travelling from Lismore. We were going home to Grafton. We came upon a small town called Casino. 2.5 k's prior to Casino, I saw these two strong bright lights at the back of the vehicle. And apparently, at the same time, my wife saw some strange lights in the front of the vehicle. There was some time after that, did we speak about these lights. Upon arriving home in Grafton, it was 45 minutes later than a normal trip.
You took 45 minutes longer to get home than you normally would.
That's right. In the morning...
Now, you at this stage don't know anything. All you remember are these strong lights in the back and in the front.
That's correct.
Okay, in the morning?
Right. In the morning, we all developed colds. My son had long strands of dry mucus from his nose with blood, 4 long strands. I had a very, very large blister on my right big toe. I had a marking at the back of my neck. My wife had sore ovaries. She was very sore in her stomach. This is all on the Sunday. On the Wednesday afternoon, in our local paper, there was an article about UFO sightings, excuse me, over Grafton on that Saturday night. And with this person's phone number, his name and phone number. And upon phoning him up, he came around to our place. And
what happened then, Wendy?
He suggested that we get some hypnotherapy done to try and recall the lost time.
Because you don't remember anything at this stage. You're just not feeling well, colds, etc. So, and you've lost 45 minutes. When you underwent hypnotherapy, what did you discover, Wendy?
We discovered that we'd been picked up, that the car had been taken to the side of the road, and my husband was taken out of the car by 2 aliens, and then I was taken out of the car by 2 more, and my daughter and I were carried off to a field. Scott was laid down behind the car and had his toe inspected.
I'd go to the back of the vehicle. They laid me down on my stomach. They examined. They put something into the back of my neck with a silver light staple gun. They turned me around. They inserted something into my right big toe. And then all of a sudden I'm in the spacecraft.
So you went into the spacecraft.
That's right.
All this was discovered under hypnotherapy.
Under hypnotherapy.
So they did tests, experimented on you. What did they look like?
All right. You've probably got your norm of your UFOs is your 5 to 6 foot tall UFO.
What did the spaceship look like? You went into the spaceship?
Right. I went into the spaceship. I went under 3 hypnotherapies, and I went under my 4th this morning to no.
Doesn't look like that one.
No.
Okay. Did it look like this next photograph that we've got coming up? Do you remember the details of the spaceship?
Oh, very plain, yes.
Like a cliched saucer, you know, circular and very large and low.
Do you remember being in it as well, Wendy?
I do. And just lying on a table with faces looking over me, and it's got sort of the same figures, like hockey mask figures, if you can imagine a hockey mask. And nasty looking equipment.
How did they communicate with you?
I didn't remember any communication, but Scott was telling me about telepathy.
So they communicated telepathically?
The first time they spoke to me was outside the vehicle. They said to me that we're very lucky people, very nice people, and be kind to your neighbour. I think they know that my neighbour and I argue a lot, maybe. And in the spacecraft, they inserted this long rod through my right eye, and they said that you will feel some pain. And I said, no, I'm not. But it was very discomfort. There was a lot of discomfort. They, again, inserted something into my right big toe. And
now, this photograph we've got up there, explain.
All right. The one on the top left, very, very friendly. The one on the top right, he carried us out of the car, or carried me out of the vehicle. The one in the bottom left was the moth type, very friendly. The one in the bottom middle, he inserted the rod into my eye, and the one on the right I call Mr. Ant.
Okay. Now, you live in Grafton.
That's correct.
Have you talked to your friends and family in Grafton about this, Wendy?
Some people I have, yeah, and people have been really good actually. Even if they don't maybe believe it fully or accept it, you know, they're pretty good about it.
Now, as I explained, you're both university educated, you run a successful business, you're from a respectable country town, you haven't had any mental illness in the family before now, and you're telling us you're abducted by aliens.
Before now.
Have you gained financially from this story?
No.
Have you sold your story, gained any money whatsoever?
No.
No. All we want to do is, it is very, very hard to understand and very, very hard to believe what we went through unless you have been through it yourself.
What sort of contact have you had with other people about how many other people do you believe have gone through the same exercise?
Many, I think.
Many.
Because so many people would lose time and perhaps not think to chase it up.
Why, Wendy, do you think they chose you?
I have no idea. I think my husband apparently has been picked up before throughout his life.
Which came out through the hypnotherapy.
That's right.
And I think I was just along for the last ride.
In the second hypnotherapy, it came out when I was 4, 8, 14, and now.
And none of those you remember previously?
No, none at all.
Now, a lot of people, when you play the cynic, as I will say, they've been watching too many X-Files.
We keep being asked, do you watch the X-Files? And we've seen a few episodes, but it's not...
How do you react? What would you like to say to people who go, you know, they're a little on the loopy side, and this is straight out of, you know, a B-grade movie or an X-Files script?
We're not here to gain anything at all. We're only here to tell people what we saw, what we went through as a family. And some will believe, some won't. It doesn't really matter. We just want to tell you, hey, they are out there, and this is what happened to us.
Do you believe they mean to harm, or just experiment, or are curious?
Under the first 2 hypnotherapies, they were very, very nice. I had no problems at all. They gave me a glass of water, so forth. Under the 3rd hypnotherapy, which I went on Saturday morning, completely different story. They were
aggressive.
Very much so.
What do they want to do on Earth?
I think they're protecting us and checking up on us, like National Parks and Wildlife tagging animals. I think it's the same sort of... Did you ever believe before March this year about UFOs? What was your belief before that?
Probably like everybody else here. Yeah, maybe not. I'm not too sure, you know.
Grafton might be thinking this is a bit curious.
Probably. It's a bit too close to home, I think, for some people.
What sort of reaction have you had from people in the street? You run your own car design business there.
It's a fledgling one, so we're sort of not dealing with a huge number in the community. But, yeah, I think we've seen a few cynics, but
Do you expect they will come back for you, Scott?
Well, they told me they were, and after the hit,
You don't
after the
want to
third,
move?
I don't want to go.
We don't know yet.
No more. Yeah, don't want to. But they said,
Will you have any control over that?
Oh shit.
Scott,
What do you guys think about that? Like, I find that extremely interesting. This is the first time I've ever watched their interview, but I actually really like the interview, you know, and I didn't see much interviews like that before, but I'm gonna be back with more alien content for you.